After I decided to go through with the arranged marriage, my arch-rival, Abel, flew 20 hours just to mock me to my face. Didn't you say you'd never get married? Finally couldn't handle the loneliness. Huh. Everyone knows we are bitter rivals, constantly at each other's throats. But what they don't know is that Abel and I secretly dated for 3 years. And what Abel doesn't know is that we once had a child. Chapter 1. Abel is back. I heard the news at a gala. As the event was winding down and the business talk had wrapped up, people dropped their formal facades and the conversation turned casual. One person marveled, wondering if the rich playboy had finally settled down and was ready to take over the family business. Another scoffed and shook his head. I doubt it. A leopard doesn't change its spots. He probably just got bored abroad and came back to party. Amidst the chatter, someone looked at me. I remember. Mr. Liam was his classmate, right? The warm atmosphere instantly cooled. Facing a web of gazes, my grip on my wine glass tightened slightly. I answered indifferently. Yes, we were in the same class in college. The man, oblivious to the tension, continued enthusiastically. I'm actually an alumnus too. Back then, Mr. Liam and Mr. Abel were the big shots on campus. You were always together. You guys were really close. Together. Really close. The crowd fell silent, but their eyes darted back and forth in the quiet air, exchanging unspoken thoughts. The man finally realized something was off and slowed down. Someone stepped in to smooth things over and save the newcomer. That's ancient history. Like you said, it's Mr. Liam and Mr. Abel now. They aren't on the same path anymore. Seeing his awkwardness, I pursed my lips and smiled. You remember correctly. We were pretty good back then. It's true that later, for the sake of our respective stances, we became enemies who couldn't coexist. But no one knew that during the time we were close at school, and through every day and night of business warfare later, we were in love. From mutual secret crushes to confessing our feelings. Abel and I dated in secret for 3 years. Even though those 3 years were spent in the shadows, we were serious about it. I was the one who initiated the breakup. He flew abroad without a word and hadn't been heard from since. It's been 5 years. Why did he come back? The banquet ended, and I headed home. The driver drove steadily the whole way, but as we neared the house, he rarely honked the horn and muttered something. I was resting my eyes, startled by the honk. I instinctively pressed my hand to my forehead and frowned. I shouldn't have drunk that last glass of wine. I drank it too fast to suppress the emotions churning inside me, and now my head was throbbing. I had a conference call across time zones tomorrow morning, a pile of work waiting, a meeting with grandfather's attending physician. My head hurt more and more. The car remained stopped for a long time. The driver sounded hesitant. Sir, someone is blocking the gate and won't let us in. Should I call security? Hearing this, I opened my eyes, my hand pausing on my forehead. It was strange. It was like a scene I had dreamed of one night. The main character of the gossip from earlier, the person I had suppressed all thoughts of during the ride, was right there at my front gate. The headlights were blinding, making the view look like an overexposed old photograph. Abel was wearing a white t-shirt and a black jacket, sitting on a suitcase with his legs crossed. His posture was casual and loose, his expression blurry in the light. My thoughts blurred along with him. Sir, the driver was still waiting for my order. I stared at that suitcase. 5 years ago, Abel had used it to pack away everything in the house related to him. The wheels had made a loud noise on the stone path in the front yard. He hadn't looked back once. Drive right in. Ha! The driver glanced at the rearview mirror in shock. Seeing my calm face, he hurriedly nodded. Yes, sir. The engine hummed low. The bumper almost touched his legs. But he didn't flinch. As we got closer, the blinding white beams shifted down, and I could finally see his face clearly. He was smiling. The smile was no different from 5 years ago. Careless, reckless, yet hiding a sharp edge. Because of that, I knew he wouldn't move. There was no point in a standoff. Not wanting to put the driver in a tough spot, I opened the car door. Thanks for your hard work today. Get some rest. As the last syllable fell, my eyes met Abel's. What should be the first thing you say after a long reunion? Long time no see? How have you been? Did you miss me? None of the above. Abel watched me with a smirk for a good while before slowly standing up straight. Liam, I heard you're getting married. Did you risk deep vein thrombosis on a 20-hour flight just to say that to my face? He paused, the curve of his lips deepening. Worried about me? I need to remind you. I loosened my tie slightly. We aren't close enough for that kind of talk anymore. With that, I walked past him expressionlessly. The dull friction of suitcase wheels sounded behind me. Unhurried, following me all the way to the door. I stepped inside, turned around, and looked down at Abel, who was 2 steps below. Just as he had blocked the gate earlier, I didn't give an inch. "We aren't close enough for you to come inside either." The door closed. The housekeeper had prepared a late-night snack. I ate a few bites and went to the bathroom to shower. My mind was deliberately blank, so when I walked out and saw Abel leaning against the wall, my reaction was delayed by several beats. I didn't think anyone in the house would let him in. The only way he could be standing in front of me now was, "You haven't changed the passcode in all these years. Lazy or sentimental?" I had used that password for years. The muscle memory of pressing each number was so ingrained that I had almost forgotten its original meaning. The day he first marked me. "Thanks for the reminder. I'll change it in a bit." Meeting his direct gaze, I pulled my bathrobe tighter. "Anything else?" He didn't make a sound, just took a step toward me. I immediately dropped my expression and lowered my voice. "Don't tell me Mr. Abel isn't here to physically remind me of security risks, but simply to break and enter like a thug?" Abel stopped in front of me, dropping his cynical tone. "Liam, there's no one else here. You don't need to have thorns in your words. You know there's no one else here. Is it appropriate to show up at your ex-boyfriend's house in the middle of the night?" "It is inappropriate." His light-colored eyes locked onto me unblinkingly. After a long silence, his lips hooked up in a smile that wasn't quite a smile. "But ex-boyfriend, I left something here. You need to give it back." When he left back then, he took everything. The clothes we bought together were cut in half, the cups were smashed until only the handles remained, and the appliances were stripped of their plugs. Luckily, we didn't have pets, and we didn't have the baby. He made the break so clean. It was laughable for him to claim he left something behind now. "There is nothing of yours here anymore." "Yes, there is. You still owe me." Abel leaned in close, lowering his voice. His hot breath hit the shell of my ear, punctuating every word. "Breakup sex." My scalp tingled. I stared at him in disbelief. "Are you crazy? What kind of nonsense is that?" "Nonsense?" He scoffed and stood up straight. "Who's the one talking nonsense? Who blindsided me with a breakup the night I proposed? Swore he would never get married in this lifetime, and is now, what? Finally unable to handle the loneliness." Chapter 2. Abel probably came straight to my house from the airport. He hadn't had a chance to adjust to the jet lag, and he looked awful. As his chest rose and fell, his breathing was uncontrollably heavy. Matched wealth, no fertility issues. "Ha! Liam, your requirements for a marriage partner are just 9 words. This was the list of conditions I gave to the professional matchmaker when looking for a suitable arranged marriage partner. It had long since spread through the circle, so it was no surprise he knew. It was a bit simple, yes, but given grandfather's health, I couldn't afford to take my time and be picky. I didn't want his last wish to go unfulfilled, leaving him with regrets at the end. Abel didn't need to know any of this, but my silence seemed to provoke him. "If you're that desperate, why not come to me? Is there really anyone who knows how to make you feel good better than I do?" "Abel," I snapped at him. "We broke up. Whatever I decide to do has nothing to do with you." "Oh," he wouldn't let it go, aggressive and relentless. "Has it? Is there really someone like that?" Suddenly, my lower back was seized. Before I could break free, his palm had already climbed up my spine and quickly pressed a specific spot on my shoulder blade. "Here." Abel increased the pressure through my bathrobe, his eyes red as he interrogated me. "Has anyone else touched it?" There was a small mole there, a sensitive spot for me. When we were intimate, Abel loved to kiss that mole, pushing me to my limit, then blocking my release at the last second, watching me cry and beg for mercy. The scent of black iris began to permeate the air. The moment I smelled it, a shockwave hit deep inside my body, stirring up layer upon layer of crashing waves. Abel's pheromones. It had been so long. The reaction was so intense my willpower almost crumbled. "Calm down." I took a deep breath, gritted my teeth, and pushed him away. "If you want an explanation, I can apologize." "I'm sorry, Abel. I went back on my word. I said I'd rather die than get married, but now I really am going to." "Happy?" As the last word fell, I raised my hand and swept a potted plant by the bathroom door to the floor. Crash. A loud noise. The butler, hearing the commotion, arrived late. The moment he saw it was Abel, he whipped his head around and rushed downstairs to call for backup. He had witnessed how ugly our breakup was. Every servant in this house had. Soon, hurried footsteps echoed from the stairs. Abel took a step back, a hint of mockery in his smile. He was tall and lean, his physique even more robust than 5 years ago. The arm that had circled my waist was powerful and solid. but in this moment he looked like he was about to crumble. Do you think I traveled all this way without sleep or rest? Rushing straight to find you, just to get an explanation? I froze, inexplicably looking away, and repeated softly, I'm sorry, go back and get some rest early. I'm very tired too, and I have an important meeting tomorrow, so I won't see you out. Abel scoffed. I'm already standing right here. How much more important can it be? I didn't understand the meaning of his last sentence until the next day. The foreign company we had been working with for nearly 5 years, the real boss turned out to be Abel. The conference room exploded with chatter instantly, but he turned a blind eye, walking calmly over to sit beside me. Long time no see, Mr. Liam. His smile was bright, carrying a trace of his old arrogance. I had only fallen asleep in the latter half of the night thanks to sleeping pills, so I was still a bit groggy. On the surface, I maintained my usual aloofness, but inside, I was in chaos. Abel gave a brief self-introduction and began to lead the meeting. After a night to cool down, he had reined in all his out-of-control emotions. His gaze was sharp now, his presence both familiar and strange. How could it be him? This partnership had opened new fields for the company, mitigated international trade risks, and most importantly, saved the family when we were on the brink of bankruptcy. I had always cherished this opportunity, but how could it be him? I tried hard to recall snippets from the past 5 years, never turning on the camera for video conferences, the punctual birthday emails, the sudden mention during a meeting that, it's snowing in your city. Suddenly, a warm hand covered my thigh, rubbing gently. I snapped back to reality, my body instantly tense. Abel was looking intently at the big screen, occasionally nodding in response, but his hand didn't move. Such a big reaction. Your acting has gotten worse. After the meeting, he blocked me at the door of my office. Considering the prying eyes in the company, I had no choice but to let him in. He looked around, walking slowly toward my desk. Did you see? The look on your employees' faces. It really takes me back. We were like that back then, too. Looking like we were about to start a fight, scaring everyone into silence. But then that night you'd be lying on top of me, unable to even catch your breath. He turned at the desk, raising an eyebrow at me. I clenched my hands at my sides. Stop bringing up the past. Click. It was the sound of a tally counter. I frowned and walked over. Don't touch my things. Abel dodged my hand. 997. What does it mean? Nothing special. He looked down, toying with the counter. The metal casing looked especially small in his hand. He clicked it 2 more times in quick succession, and the digits reset to 0. Let it be 0. Anyway, don't tell me it's the number of times you missed me? My heart skipped a beat. This man, whether in academics, career, or my own thoughts, could always take control so easily. No. My expression was stiff as I changed the subject bluntly. That company. How could it be you? Abel put down the counter and looked up at me. Why couldn't it be me? We already broke up. Liam, please get this straight. You unilaterally proposed the breakup. I never agreed to it. So what if he didn't agree? We really had been apart for 5 years. The office was soundproofed well. Once it went quiet, the silence was profound. After a long standoff, I compromised first. What exactly do you want? He answered immediately. You're not allowed to get married. I responded just as quickly. Sorry, can't do that. Abel stared at me. You're not allowed to marry anyone else. I suddenly noticed he was dressed very formally today. A dark bespoke suit, matching leather shoes and belt, carefully chosen accessories, meticulously styled hair, sharp and handsome. It reminded me of how he looked back then, surrounded by a room full of flowers, kneeling on one knee. Want to propose again? I laughed. You were rejected once, and you want to try again? In the end, we parted on bad terms. Like a numb working machine, I finished my tasks and went to the hospital. At his age, his bodily functions are declining. Rather than high-risk radical treatments, it's better to preserve this last bit of lucid time. The doctor's meaning was clear. Grandfather's health was much worse than others his age. These 5 years had drained almost all his energy. He should have been enjoying his twilight years, gardening, walking birds, traveling around, being a happy old man. If the family hadn't run into trouble 5 years ago. How are your brothers doing lately? Pretty good. Keep an eye on them. Don't let them get taken advantage of. I know. Grandfather nodded, took a sip of millet porridge, and looked at me with cloudy eyes. And you? The oversized hospital gown looked empty on him, revealing forearms that were just skin and bone, covered in blue veins. I watched for a moment before looking away. Soon, the matchmaker said she'd have news for me tomorrow. He finished the porridge, put the bowl aside, and sighed softly. Of the three of you, you're the most reliable but also the one I worry about the most. When you settle on someone, bring him here. Let Grandpa check him out for you one last time. A while ago, Grandfather announced his will. Whichever of us three Omegas produced an heir first would inherit the entire estate. My two younger brothers acted fast. One went for artificial insemination, the other went to the university to find an alpha to sleep with. Each had their own kind of madness. After investigating secretly to confirm the people around them were safe, I let them be. As it stood, my progress was likely the slowest. It was already evening when I left the hospital. I waited for a long time, but the driver didn't show up. Checking my phone, I realized he had sent a message 10 minutes ago. A crying face emoji, saying he hadn't parked properly and the car got towed while he was buying water. It was so ridiculous it gave me a headache. As I stood there in a daze, a bright silver sedan stopped in front of me. The window rolled down, and Abel poked his head out. Get in. No need. I refused coldly, put away my phone, and turned to leave. He followed like a shadow. Just as I was about to walk out of the hospital gate, he sped up and blocked my path. Do you need me to go up and chat with your grandfather? I stopped in my tracks and glared at him. Don't you dare. Abel didn't care. Smiling, he leaned over and opened the passenger door for me. Get in. He was blocking the exit, and the traffic behind him started honking impatiently. I closed my eyes, pulled the door open, and got in. Don't disturb him. Got it. Abel locked the doors. His tone was much lighter than in the morning, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. He seemed much more energetic. I really didn't understand him. I looked out the window. The streetlights flickered on, looking like blurry old dreams. Did you wash off my mark? The car stopped at a red light. I saw Abel looking at me in the window's reflection. I wasn't good at lying. My brain stalled for a second. It's been gone for a long time. Gone. I unconsciously clenched my hands. I washed it off. It was quiet beside me for a few seconds. Then came a laugh. Makes sense. How could you carry another man's child with my mark on you? Washing a mark? Did it hurt? The question made my chest feel tight. I wanted to open the window for some air, but I found it was locked, so I just reached up and loosened my tie. Don't seduce me. You know what I'm like. Abel, that kind of talk is flirting when we're dating. Now it's harassment. Abel humphed again. Now you know how to analyze things. What about your own decision? Have you thought it through? Being led by the nose by a will. You're worse off than your two brothers. At least they aren't throwing their whole lives away, though you shouldn't be like them, acting recklessly. So he found out the reason for my arranged marriage. No wonder he was so happy, he thought I was forced. I retied my tie. Don't go investigating other people's family matters. Ha! If I didn't investigate, I wouldn't know you've become this stupid. A stack of documents was thrown onto my lap. Take a good look. I looked down and opened it. It was a copy of Grandfather's will. Unlike what he had told us, this one clearly stated the estate was to be divided into 3 equal parts. There was no condition about having a child. Abel was still saying something, but his voice gradually faded until I couldn't hear it. After a long while, you knew all along? Did you think I've just been playing around all these years? Then why did you still agree to the arranged marriage? I closed the file, clasped my hands on my lap, and said calmly, Abel, this situation isn't as helpless and aggrieved as you think. Grandfather just wants to see an attitude. If he wants it, I'll give it to him. It just so happens that a marriage with a partner of equal standing benefits the family, too. It kills 2 birds with 1 stone. The fingers on the steering wheel suddenly tightened, knuckles turning white. Abel's face darkened. He yanked the steering wheel and slammed the brakes, parking on the side of the road. Without even unbuckling his seatbelt, he grabbed my shoulder and leaned in close. Specifically asking for someone who can bear children. Do you really want to have a baby for someone? His voice was tight, completely devoid of his earlier ease. I tried the door handle. Locked. I felt a surge of irritation. You can't park here. Either unlock the door or drive. Do you think you're the only one who can call a tow truck? Liam, look at me. His voice was so loud it hurt my ears. I bit my lip and didn't move. Inside the car, the scent of black iris suddenly grew heavy. I dared not look at him even more, afraid my true thoughts would escape through my eyes. Even now, my body would still react to Abel involuntarily. And so would my heart. Chapter 3. I took a few deep breaths and tugged at the car door again. Abel, I wanted to tell you last night. Can you control your pheromones? Don't just casually. I can't control it. The weight on my shoulder grew heavier. You can wash off my mark and accept another alpha. But what about me? Every rut, I can only get through it by relying on the things I took from your house. The scent on the water cup disappeared the fastest, then the razor, and finally your shirt. But even that faint trace completely vanished the year before last. Liam, do you know how much I miss you? Without you, I'm not living well at all. You can. My voice was a little hoarse, stuck in my throat. I closed my eyes and said numbly, find a new partner. The breathing beside me stopped. After a long while, he asked with a tremor, you're telling me to find someone else? Your emotions are unstable because of pheromone disorder, right? Don't force yourself if it's too hard. If there's a suitable Omega, take the initiative. Your family definitely wants you to have your own family soon. I advised him like a qualified colleague, a longtime friend. Anything but a partner. Do you think they haven't tried? All these years, they've shoved one person after another at me. Set me up time and time again. When I missed you so much I thought I was going crazy. I hated you the most too. I thought I might as well give up. There are so many Omegas in the world. I must be crazy to hang myself on your tree. But it just doesn't work. His voice grew softer and softer, his warm breath landing on my neck, slowly approaching my gland. I only want you. Give it to me. Please. I kept looking straight ahead, expressionless. The always cynical Abel. When had he ever begged so humbly for someone's pheromones? It was pitiful enough to make anyone unable to refuse. What a pity. No. The pheromones you know are familiar with and miss are gone. The current ones can't comfort you. I turned my head to create a little distance, clearly seeing Abel's expression go blank in an instant. Wah! He moved his lips but made no sound. He smelled it, the sour scent of bitter orange. After an Omega is marked, their pheromones merge with the alphas to form a new scent. My original scent was lime. After getting together with Abel, it was basically covered by his black iris scent. The current bitter orange scent was completely foreign to him. Abel, it's time to move on. The car window was knocked on. My third brother, Oliver, was trying hard to peer into the car. I had just sent him my real-time location. Perfect timing. Why? His voice came from behind me as I got out of the car. Anyone else is fine, but why not me? Sitting in Oliver's car, I took out the suppressants I had just been prescribed at the hospital and skillfully gave myself 2 injections. Bro, why don't you ever go to the comfort center? The 3 Smith brothers are all Omegas. Grandfather specially set up a comfort center where synthesized artificial pheromones can help us smoothly pass through our heat cycles. Too much trouble. Oh, I turned my head and muttered softly. Mixing suppressants is way more trouble. I put away the syringe and didn't speak again. Home or the company? The heat in my body gradually receded. I leaned back against the seat. The cemetery. Huh? To see Mom and Dad. Yeah. The Smith family cemetery is at the top of a hill. Oliver complained about being tired after climbing for a bit and fell far behind. I stood alone in front of my parents' grave for a while, lit a cigarette and walked to the other side. Under a regularly pruned cypress tree, there was a beautiful blue stone. I placed the cigarette on it and slowly straightened up. The smoke rose gently and was scattered by the wind. On the stone steps not far away, Oliver was looking down at his phone, unable to hide the smile on his lips. How nice. Such a simple, carefree life. He didn't know that I didn't go to the comfort center because it was trouble. It was because it was useless. Those who say they're turning the page sometimes secretly fold a corner. I never washed off the mark Abel left. When the heat came, my body only recognized him. Even the most advanced pheromones were useless. Abel would never guess there was another possibility for the sudden change in an Omega's pheromone scent. Pregnancy and then miscarriage. I looked at the small mound of earth behind the blue stone. It was inconspicuous. Buried there was a secret that never took form. The cigarette was almost burned to the end. I picked it up and took a drag. The taste of tobacco drilled into my lungs, spreading a numb bitterness. I wanted to ask too. Why couldn't it be me? Since I was young, I was calm and self-disciplined, following the rules. Abel was my belated rebellion. We went to bed the day we defined the relationship, and he permanently marked me the first time. We both knew clearly that the Brown family and the Smith family had a blood feud going back 3 generations. They would never allow us to be together. So what? Did 2 independent people need anyone's permission to fall in love? At school, we used club activities and competitions as cover. After entering our respective companies, we were strangers on the surface, mortal enemies, but secretly kissed passionately in dim underground parking lots. Absurd yet harmonious. We seem like that couple, Romeo and Juliet. Once, after the act, Abel suddenly sighed. I didn't even have the strength to roll my eyes at him. Can you think of something positive? Did those two have a happy ending? As if his words were a prophecy, misfortune came quickly. My adventurous parents died in a tsunami. My third brother, due to excessive grief, had an abnormal presentation and almost became an invalid. Suddenly, the once powerful Smith family became a piece of fat meat everyone wanted a bite of. Those with new grudges and old hatreds, the ambitious ones, the ones friendly on the surface but harboring evil intentions. They all surrounded us. Broken capital chains, supply problems, sky-high liquidated damages, new troubles popped up every day. Grandfather and I were forced to take charge. So busy we didn't even have time to eat. Abel couldn't help me openly, only secretly providing aid. Soon his family came knocking. With a group of elite lawyers and bodyguards. I stood alone in the middle, facing so many gazes and hearing so many nasty words. Yet I could still smile. Can't be helped. Your son loves me. Abel loved me. I had no doubt about that. Family opposition was never our obstacle. I always thought knowing that was enough. But that time, an important project negotiation coincided with Abel's rut. I didn't have time to help him vent in the room, so I let him rely on suppressants for a few days. He clung to me. You haven't slept for days. Just let me hold you for a while. I won't mess with you. I softened and agreed, on the condition that he wake me at 6 a.m. He indeed didn't mess with me, but he didn't wake me either. When I woke up in his arms, I had already missed the negotiation time. The project we were determined to win eventually fell into the hands of the Brown family. Abel was very uneasy, apologizing constantly, saying he would compensate for my loss. I didn't say anything. After all, his intentions were good. He wanted me to rest well, but my heart sank. That was the first time I realized there was a gap between us. Abel loved me, but he only loved me. If we switched places, no matter how tired or hard-pressed he was, I would have dragged him up and pinned him to the negotiation table. I couldn't only love him. The teetering Smith family, the brother who couldn't stand on his own yet, the elderly grandfather. I couldn't let go of any of them. During that time, I was battered and exhausted, physically and mentally, yet I often felt happy. I felt happy, but I always felt like something was slipping away. I didn't dare think about it carefully, nor could I. One morning, I had a strange dream and vaguely felt we might be in trouble. I secretly went to the hospital. The report confirmed my guess. There was a little life in my stomach. I couldn't remember which time we hadn't taken precautions. The pressure was too great during that time, and we did it so often it was crazy. Most memories were blurry. That morning, I sat in the hospital corridor holding the report, thinking seriously for a long time for the first time. Finally, I decided this child came at the wrong time and shouldn't be kept. I knew very well that if I told Abel, he would definitely pick me up and spin me around in joy, not even considering whether we should keep it. He was a thorough romantic, just like his pheromones. He never considered the reality before him. Even if a family of 3 slept under a bridge, he would think it was happiness. So I suppressed the news and turned into the operating room. That afternoon, I returned to the company and presided over work as if nothing had happened. In the dead of night, I sat alone in the office, covering my lower abdomen in a daze. Long-term partners were provoked by the Brown family and terminated cooperation. Raw materials from the factory were maliciously intercepted by the Brown family, making normal production and delivery impossible. Problems piled up, suffocating me. I was like I was on a sinking ship, helpless. Abel's video call was like a lifeboat. My chest rose and fell a few times before I pressed the answer button. It was noisy on the other end. Liam, are you still at the company? Why aren't the lights on? Look who I'm with. It was our college friends. The few people who knew about my relationship with Abel. They were having a late-night snack together, everyone laughing happily. Should I come pick you up? The boxed meal on your desk must be cold. Don't eat it. The lifeboat slowly drifted away. When I went home the next day, I realized belatedly what their gathering was preparing for. A room full of flowers, and Abel kneeling on one knee in a formal suit. Liam, marry me. Abel, let's break up. Chapter 4. The professional matchmaker sent a message. My reputation as the cold-faced king of hell preceded me, and since the Smith family hadn't fully recovered its strength, most alphas of equal standing were waiting on the sidelines. Few responded. Only a few young up-and-comers were willing to consider it. Flipping through the profiles sent over, I was surprised to find that reckless young man from the banquet. Mason. A beta. Tapping my finger lightly on the desk, after a moment's thought, I replied briefly. Set up a meeting with Mason for me. He was 2 years younger than me and hadn't been running his family business for long. His face still carried an innocence that hadn't been worn down by the business world. Did your family arrange this? Do you have someone you like? Do you know what an arranged marriage is? Mason was stunned by my barrage of questions. After a long while, he stammered, "It was my own idea. I like." He glanced at me and blushed. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you at the banquet last time, but I messed it up. I'm sorry." My heart sank. He wasn't the person I needed. I gave him a reasonably gentle smile. "Let's eat first." He nodded blankly, stuffed a mouthful of broccoli into his mouth, and only seemed to realize what happened after swallowing. "Mr. Liam, you don't like me?" So direct I didn't know how to respond. "You're great, but not suitable." Specifically, where am I not suitable? Let me see if I can change. I was silent for a moment before answering seriously. The essence of an arranged marriage is the arrangement. Two people who don't love each other temporarily combining for mutual benefit, not for marriage in the romantic sense. I can't hold you back. He nodded, seeming to understand but not quite. I quickly went through the other candidate profiles in my mind, considering whether to arrange another late-night meeting. I had to hurry. Grandfather's health was deteriorating every day. I couldn't afford to wait. "So, Mr. Liam, do you have someone you like?" I froze for a second, meeting his gaze. Facing such sincere eyes, I couldn't lie. "Yes." "Is he poor?" "Quite rich." "He doesn't like you?" "He does." Mason looked even more confused. "If he likes you, why can't you be together? Is he already married?" I couldn't help but laugh. "No, just because his last name was Brown." I couldn't let the Smith family fall into crisis again because of my feelings. The matchmaker said she couldn't schedule anyone else on short notice, so I gave up and focused on discussing cooperation with Mason. After dinner, I saw him to his car and stood at the restaurant entrance for a while. Maybe it was the wind after drinking, but my head started throbbing dully again. It had been acting up too frequently lately. I needed to go to the hospital, but I sighed. I really didn't have time. Yesterday's partnership discussion was only halfway done, and Abel came to the company again. This time I didn't panic. I nodded slightly at him and politely greeted, "Mr. Brown." Though his name wasn't on the contract, the news would reach the Brown family sooner or later. I didn't know what methods they would use against the Smith family then. Once this quarter's cooperation ended, I had to find a way to seek new opportunities. I raised my hand to press my temple. Just as I rubbed it once, the phone on the desk suddenly vibrated. "Mr. Liam, I thought about it all night. I think arrangement and marriage can exist simultaneously." Another message followed. "It's okay if you don't like me for now. Feelings can be nurtured slowly." Sensing the gaze beside me, I placed my phone face down on the table and looked up at the projection screen. After the long meeting ended, to avoid being blocked by Abel at the door again, I hurriedly packed my things, preparing to leave as quickly as possible. A hand reached out in front of me, blocking my path. Happy cooperation. Everyone in the conference room looked over. Their faces showed undisguised excitement at the show. I gave a cold glance at Oliver, who was grinning the widest, and slowly raised my hand to shake his. Palms touched. Happy cooperation. Once again, Abel successfully followed me into my office. "When do you plan to go back?" "Back abroad, back to the Brown family, anywhere but hovering around me." "Are you not feeling well?" I paused, picked up my water cup, and took a sip. No. The water in the cup was gone, but Abel was still staring at me. "Do you have anything else?" "He's not suitable for you." A sharp pain shot through my head. I lifted my hand to rub it, realized Abel was watching, and put it back down. Stalking me? I was eating with family and happened to see. "Oh, so he went home. That's good." Back then, he unilaterally decided to cut ties and moved into my house, then went abroad without a word. After going in a circle, he still went home. He wanted to get close to you back in college. I had someone warn him a few times, and he got scared off. A weak coward, he won't achieve anything big. Speaking ill of people behind their backs isn't honorable either. I put down the cup and pressed against the edge of the desk for support. At least he's better than someone thick-skinned who keeps pestering endlessly. Abel was choked by my words, pursing his lips tightly. Truly thick-skinned. I had made it very clear, rejected him so many times, yet he still pressed on step by step. I subconsciously glanced back. The desk. Nowhere to retreat. I really picked a great spot for myself. Abel's gaze locked tightly onto me. He leaned forward slightly, his breath getting closer. "What are you doing?" Behind me came a series of clicks. My brain stalled for a second. "What?" "9 times. Abel paused. "The number of times I wanted to touch you during the meeting." My face gradually heated up. I held my breath, bracing against his encroaching chest. Abel, stop while you're ahead. Don't force me to say ugly things. He smiled. That mouth of yours has never said anything nice anyway. A wave of heat, both familiar and strange, surged through my body. A nerve in my brain throbbed violently. Reason told me I had to get away from him as soon as possible. But my body involuntarily arched its back slightly. Abel's body stiffened, and his smile deepened. Liam, he's a beta. In your current state, can he help you relieve it? Who said I wanted him to relieve it? Oh, not him. Then looking for the owner of that bitter orange scent. I bit my lip and turned to look at the call button on the other side of the desk. Abel saw through my thoughts at a glance. My hand was grabbed halfway and pressed firmly onto the desk. I turned the entire city upside down and couldn't find such a person. Does he really exist? The posture was too ambiguous. I gritted my teeth and struggled. Let go of me. Abel ignored my resistance. This awful smell was concocted by your family's comfort center, right? Deliberately leading me to think that way, trying to make me give up. My head felt like it was going to explode. Panting heavily, I steeled my heart and shouted for my secretary with all my strength. Soon, there was a knock on the door. Mr. Liam, you called? Abel's eyes grew colder. He actually lowered his head, intending to kiss me directly. I turned my head. His kiss grazed my cheek and landed on my earlobe. Come in. The door opened. The secretary clearly hadn't expected this situation. As a beta, he couldn't smell the intense aggression of Abel's pheromones right now, but his excellent professionalism allowed him to react quickly, slip inside, and shut the door immediately. Mr. Liam, what do you need? I met Abel's gaze, forcing myself not to flinch. Call security. Abel just stared at me, motionless. The secretary actually picked up the internal line and dialed security, and I never relented. Suddenly, the restraint on my wrist loosened. He stood up, looking straight at me. Liam, I won't give up. Prepare to be entangled with me for the rest of your life. Long after he left, I remained propped against the desk, unmoving. The secretary cautiously observed my complexion. Are you okay, sir? Do you want to go to the hospital? I pinched the bridge of my nose. Show me the upcoming schedule. He quickly handed over the tablet. I had to swipe several times to reach the bottom. Forget it. I looked down and straightened my crooked tie. No time at all. After running nonstop for a few days, Abel, true to his word, appeared by my side at every possible opportunity. Mason sent a message late one night. Is the person Mr. Liam likes Mr. Abel? 2 seconds later, the message was recalled. I pretended not to see it and replied, What did you send? He typed for a long time, finally sending just one sentence. Nothing. I don't know if I offended Mr. Abel somewhere. I've been targeted a lot lately. I stared at that sentence for a long time until the screen went completely dark. Stubbing the cigarette between my fingers into the ashtray, I opened a chat with an unsaved number. Stop tormenting innocent people. Mason never contacted me again. Oliver heard rumors from somewhere and couldn't help running over to probe. What's going on? Did you two sleep together? Seeing I didn't speak, he got anxious. Then hurry up and sleep with him again. If you don't hurry, the inheritance will all be mine. His relationship with the college student he was keeping was getting more stable, and the second brother was also making smooth progress. Just as I was hesitating whether to tell them the truth about the will, the hospital called. Grandfather's condition had worsened. He had very few lucid moments in a day now. He looked at me, his eyes full of expectation. But I was speechless, afraid to step forward. I was the only one left. Even at a time like this, I was still making him worry. After sending away everyone who came to visit, my head was splitting, and I could barely stand. The secretary was terrified by my pale face and urgently canceled all subsequent arrangements. The examination results came out quickly. Widowhood syndrome. This condition is common in omegas who have lost their alpha. When a bonded mark goes without the alpha's soothing for a long time, it leads to cognitive impairment and turns into abnormal aggression against oneself. The treatment is simple. Either obtain the marker's pheromones again or wash off the mark directly. No need to think at all. The mark removal surgery was scheduled for 3 days later. I went home with painkillers and sat alone in the dark bedroom until late at night. In the end, I laughed out loud abruptly. Alone. So useless. Liam. Even though I tried my absolute best, I still couldn't keep anything. Chapter 5. At the investors' dinner, I saw Abel again. Just as I expected. He was working the room with ease in his capacity as the eldest son of the Brown family. When our gazes met, I turned away immediately. Though I was too far to hear clearly, I could sense the conversation around me shift. I didn't need to guess. It was the same old cliché about how the Smith family was destined to fall into ruin in the hands of those three Omegas. I felt nothing. Expressionless. I scanned the venue for anyone I knew. Mason was standing by the dessert tower in the corner. I'd barely taken a few steps toward him when he nervously turned and walked away without looking back. I stopped, finding it almost laughable. After a moment, a man walked over. "Mr. Liam, I sent you my profile. Why haven't you contacted me?" I turned. It was a man I didn't know well. He was one of the few alphas who had responded to me. A high school bully who showed no remorse after his family cleaned up his mess, who harassed strangers on the street and dragged them into alleys when rejected. A typical lawless rich kid. I did need a marriage partner, but if I chose someone like him, grandfather would never rest in peace. I raised my glass with a faint smile. "I'm currently in talks with someone. I really can't afford the distraction right now." "Oh? Who's the lucky guy?" His words were polite, but his tone was dripping with mockery. I glanced at my secretary, who immediately stepped in to extricate me. Even after walking a fair distance, I could still feel his gaze boring into my back. Pushing open the restroom door, the nausea I'd been suppressing all night finally surged up. "Give me the painkillers." The medicine bag was placed in my hand. "I'll go get you some water." The door closed, but not long after, it was pushed open again. I poured the pills into my palm and reached out toward my secretary. But there was no movement. "What kind of medicine are you taking?" My hand froze in midair. I slowly looked up. The mirror above the sink was spotless. Without turning around, I could see Abel standing at the door with a dark expression. Behind him, the door was pushed open again. My secretary entered with the water but stopped dead in his tracks. Abel turned to him. "Is your boss sick?" The secretary looked at him, then at me, and prudently kept his mouth shut. Abel gave a cold scoff and gripped the door handle. "Stand guard outside." I immediately went on high alert and walked quickly, trying to leave. "Liam, are you sure you want to make a scene here?" The people outside were all prominent figures. I clenched my fists, then released them helplessly. "Let me go." "Not until I get an answer." Abel refused to give an inch, looking ready to confront me to the bitter end. "Do you want me to go to the hospital and pull your records?" My heart seized, and I shouted instinctively, "Don't." His expression changed slightly. He lifted his chin. "Open your hand." The pills had melted from my body heat, turning into a paste in my palm. "Painkillers." His gaze shifted from my hand to my face as he stepped closer. "Where does it hurt?" Agitated by that alpha earlier, everything hurt. I held myself together and sneered. "Are you a doctor?" Abel was unmoved. He backed me into a corner and raised a hand to touch my cheek. "Where?" When I didn't answer, his hand moved down inch by inch. My skin trembled wherever he touched. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and choked out, "Stop touching me." His hand paused at my waist, then slowly wrapped around it. He pulled me into his arms. The hot scent of black iris washed over me, and the strength to support my body suddenly vanished. "Liam, can you be honest with me just this once?" How could I be honest? I was lying even to myself. If I faced my true feelings right now, I would hug him back, cling to him, seduce him, push him to his limit, and then deliberately let him hear the commotion outside the door. The embrace suddenly stiffened. I abruptly realized I really had hugged him back. "No." I hurriedly retracted my hands, my breathing quickening. "Let me go first. I have a headache. Seeing you gives me a headache. Makes me nauseous. Makes me feel terrible all over." Abel acted like he didn't hear. One arm encircled me, while his other hand forced its way into the back of my waistband. My belt was already buckled to the tightest notch. His forceful intrusion made me cry out in pain. Soon, I couldn't cry out anymore. Abel withdrew his hand and forced me to look at the slickness on his fingertips. Here or home? Choose one. I couldn't explain to Abel why my body didn't resist, but instead welcomed him. Felt like going back 5 years. Back then, the situation was chaotic, the pressure had nowhere to go, and I could only indulge myself. Was history repeating itself? Briefly throwing all problems to the back of my mind. Liam, you never washed off my mark. I couldn't throw them away at all. What else have you been hiding from me? The questions kept coming. I gripped the sheets tight and used the most shameful yet effective way to change the subject. You're terrible at this. What? The conversation and interrogation stopped there. It was effective, but the consequence was a sore back. As my consciousness blurred, I vaguely heard him on the phone. For the past 5 years. Yes, obstetrics? Send over the records from 5 years ago too. All of them. Chapter 6. I opened my eyes, lying in bed. My body felt dry and comfortable, my mind relaxed. I stared at the ceiling for a long time before picking up my phone. Messages flooded the screen like a tidal wave. The sense of relaxation vanished instantly. I pinched the bridge of my nose and started dealing with the messages. Suddenly, a blanket was draped over my shoulders. The food is getting cold. I glanced at the tray on the nightstand but didn't put down my phone. It was surprising that Abel didn't force me to eat first. But I only paused for a second before refocusing on work. Once the urgent matters were mostly handled, I tried to stretch my stiff neck and shoulders, only to feel teeth marks all over my hand when I touched my neck. My gland had been bitten almost raw. Memories of last night flooded back, and only then did I sense something was off. Abel didn't notice my train of thought. He lit a cigarette and asked calmly, "Does the Smith family belong to you alone?" I paused, my fluctuating emotions slowly settling. The Smith family didn't belong to me alone, but I was the eldest brother. I had to shoulder the responsibility left by our absent parents. That tsunami took not only our parents but also my freedom. I took the cigarette from his fingers and put it in my own mouth. "You don't understand. Teach me. I want to understand." The smoke became a bit choking. I stubbed it out on the table in disgust. "Terrible. What kind of weird flavor bead did you add?" After speaking, I tasted a hint of lime in my mouth. I stopped talking. After a long while, Abel brought the reheated food to me. "Eat first." I stared at the rising steam and looked up. "Abel, just because we slept together again last night doesn't mean we're starting over. I still can't be with you." I was prepared for him to get angry and make a scene, but he just lowered his head, spooned some soup, blew on it and brought it to my lips. I opened my mouth and drank it in a daze. After finishing a whole bowl of soup, he whispered, "I'm sorry. He really did toss me around enough last night." Wait, that didn't seem to be what he meant. "Are you terminating the cooperation?" It was Abel's turn to be stunned. "No, they don't have control over that company." "Then why apologize? Did he think getting the breakup sex meant we were done?" I didn't ask and lowered my head to eat. Abel waited quietly for me to finish. "If you feel unwell, come to me anytime." I didn't hide it from him. "I probably won't need to. I'm getting the mark washed off the day after tomorrow." He didn't look surprised and nodded. "I know, but give me a little time." Give him a little time? What did that mean? Thinking back, he had been acting a bit strange lately. It seemed even fate was helping Abel. I didn't make it to the hospital. I fell ill. Maybe it was because I had been pushing myself too hard day after day, keeping my nerves too tight. The moment I suddenly relaxed, all sorts of ailments came crashing down. It started as a small cold but ended up severe enough to require hospitalization. Lying in the hospital, I was too anxious to eat. My second brother, Lucas, came to see me. Without a word, he shut my laptop and threw it aside. I was halfway through a meeting recording. I frowned and ordered, "Put it back. You don't trust me?" "No." "Then what are you watching? The meeting is over. What problems could there be? Even if there are, I'll handle them." "Does the Smith family belong to you alone?" The same words. I didn't want to explain to Abel, but with Lucas, I was afraid he'd misunderstand. "I never thought that. I just wanted to pave the road a little smoother for them." "Enough." He interrupted me, picked up an apple and started peeling it. "Can you just rest for a bit?" I was quiet for a while, then couldn't help asking, "By the way, the investment for the project in City S." Lucas glared at me, and I swallowed the rest of my sentence. I changed the subject. "Have you gone to see Grandpa?" The long apple peel suddenly broke. Lucas stopped his movements and sighed softly, his expression turning serious. "The doctor said it's just a matter of days. Oliver has already started preparing, so it won't be too rushed when the time comes." My heart sank. I had expected it, but I still couldn't accept it, especially since I hadn't fulfilled his wish. "Give me a cigarette." Instead of a cigarette, my mouth was stuffed with apple. Lucas stood up, took a tissue from the bodyguard, and wiped his hands. "Bro, there are 3 of us." I took a bite of the apple and chewed slowly. "I know. In the future, there might be 6 of us or even more. Don't carry it all alone. Also," he looked at the scabbing wound on the back of my neck. "Someone asked me to pass on a message." I looked up, already guessing who it was, but Lucas suddenly got stuck. "Ugh. What was it he said?" Sounded like bird language. The bodyguard behind him reminded him softly a few times. Lucas sked impatiently. "All right, you heard it, right?" "Yeah. Capulet and Montague don't have to be a tragedy. Wait for me." Chapter 7. On my 3rd day in the hospital, I was half asleep when someone suddenly appeared beside me. "It's me." I pulled back my fist and relaxed my tense body. Could you maybe announce yourself first? Saw you were sleeping. Abel nuzzled the crook of my neck. Don't push me away. I felt something was off and placed my hand on his chest. He took a sharp, shallow breath. What's wrong? I wanted to turn on the light, but he pinned my hand down. Nothing. Got beat up trying to snatch some things. I deserved it. Snatch things? Just some family assets. Give it a few days and they'll carry the name Smith. And so will I. How does that sound? I froze, instantly wide awake. What nonsense are you spouting? Abel smiled, his breath brushing against my cheek, echoing gently in my ear. I'm sorry. I was too naive back then. Naive enough to think that as long as we got married, they wouldn't target you, and even the deepest grudges would be resolved. I didn't realize that what you needed was a stance. No matter what happens, I will always stand by your side, stay with you, respect your decisions, and cherish everything you value. That is my stance. I remained silent for a long time. Abel's voice grew softer. I'm gonna sleep for a bit. Wake me at 6. Why 6? He chuckled softly. Still have a few things left to snatch. Unexpectedly, he was the one who woke me up. It wasn't even dawn yet. The lights in the ward were on. Abel, dressed in a pure black suit, was half kneeling on the floor, putting my shoes on for me. I rubbed my eyes. What time is? My movements froze. He pursed his lips and carefully draped my coat over my shoulders. Can you walk? I had visualized this moment countless times, but when it actually arrived, I was calmer than I imagined. Yes, I can walk on my own. I am the eldest brother. I need to take charge. Grandfather's funeral went smoothly. The burial ended, and the mourners left. Abel stood with me before the new tombstone in silence. Liam, there's something I need to tell you. I didn't speak. He continued. I went to see your grandfather a few days ago. I told him about us, told him I wanted to be with you again. Guess what he said? I slowly turned my head. What did he say? He said. Abel looked at me and smiled softly. He agreed. Tears fell suddenly. I raised my hand blankly to wipe them away. Then another drop. Before the third could fall, Abel pulled me into his arms. All those tears I didn't want anyone to see ended up soaking his suit. When I'd cried enough, I pushed him away. Do you want to see the one eye? I bit my lip, not knowing what to call the unborn child. I've already seen it. It's that stone in the front garden, right? Yeah. It's beautiful. If it were me, I would have chosen that one too. You don't blame me? Abel was honest. Back then, maybe I would have. He had changed. Yet he seemed exactly the same. I followed him, walking down the steps one by one. Lucas, who had returned to the company first, called. The Brown family took advantage of the chaos. They snatched one of our major projects. Abel stopped and extended his hand to me. I walked down 2 steps and placed my hand in his palm. Let's go take it back. If you enjoyed this story, remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.